dawn in the Japanese countryside 35 miles from Tokyo. Every day of the year, Otake Risuke leaves his house at this time to pray. He always carries his sword. As he walks across his garden, he leaves behind the modern world. He moves back in time to the 15th century. In these few steps, Master Otake becomes a samurai warrior, in thought, word, but not in deed. He is among the finest swordsmen living today, the teaching master of probably the best martial arts school in the world. He does not teach a sport. At this school, the students learn an art of killing that they will never use. The second part of the morning ritual consists of exercises in the art of swordsmanship. The Japanese call this iai jutsu, the art of drawing the sword. Even now, life in Japan is lived on the floor, so it's natural to start fighting techniques from a kneeling position. Also, at night, a kneeling person is harder to see. While he practices, Master Otake always imagines that there is an attacker before him and aims his blows at precise points of the attacker's body. His sword strokes are aimed to kill. After each group of strokes, part of the technique is to shake the blood from the sword before returning it to the scabbard. He never takes his eyes from his imaginary enemy. The exercises are planned to counter an attack from any direction. To be effective, the art must be used by a warrior who has developed his willpower.
人食い取らぬ、取らぬ、恋人を傷つけられて、それで女の人がどんなに解放しても治らなくて、それで命を落としてしまった。取らぬ、殺されたですね。そうしたらその若者はもう悲しみのどん底から必ずその虎を敵討ちしてやろうと。それでもう毎日毎日夢を持ってジャングルをさまよって虎を探して歩きました。そしたらある日虎がジャングルの向こうに寝ているところが姿が映ったもんで、よし、この虎に違いないと、これが俺の恋人を殺した虎に違いないって言って矢をつがえて撃ったんですね。そしたら狙い誤ったずその虎に突き刺さった。そして2番目の矢をつがえてそろそろ虎のそば行ってみたら、なんとそれが虎ではなくて虎が寝ているのによく似た石だと。その石に矢が突っ立った。そしてそれが評判になって村人たちが驚いて、弓矢が石に突き刺さったんだ、これじゃあもう一回やってみろ。であとはもう何回やってもダメなの、ドゥーンってみんな跳ね返っちゃうね。それはやっぱりもう石であるということがはっきり分かってからだからダメなの。恋人の敵だって言ってもう一寸不乱に矢を追いかけたので石に突き刺さったって。一寸岩をも通すという言葉があるね。
All samurai sought perfection with the sword, not only in the fighting techniques but in the weapons themselves. The samurai and the swordsmith worked together to develop the exquisite, deadly Japanese sword. Sword making reached its peak of skill by the 14th century. The process starts with a lump of crude iron. It is purified by hammer blows and by pouring a liquid made from ash over it. There are 6 men working in Japan now who can make swords to the standard of perfection of the old masters. And Yoshihara-san is one of them. Making a sword is a religious act, a blending of faith and skill, and the result is a work of art. A blade made by Yoshihara-san is worth about £10,000. Most of them are bought by collectors, and to his regret, put straight into bank vaults. The art of making a Japanese sword lies in the folding of the metal. It is folded up to 30 times, which makes millions of layers. Out of this process comes the lightness and strength of the blade. After the folding, the lump is beaten into its final shape. The swordsmith makes only the blade. Other craftsmen finish the polishing and sharpening, and make the scabbard, hilt and guard. Master Ataki's own sword is 600 years old, and the guard is 400 years old. Both were made by famous craftsmen. The whole assembly is held together by just one small bamboo peg. Everything about the sword is practical. The beauty of its shape exists because an elegant curve is strong and cuts well. The groove is cut into it to lighten the weapon without weakening it, and to prevent suction gripping the sword in a wound. All teaching sessions at the school start with practice in the art of the sword. The students practice the exercises in their own time, but always watched by Master Ataki. It takes many years to attain speed and precision, to get the control needed to stop the sword instantly in a focused cut. Perhaps the hardest of all is to learn the relaxed balance that allows the body to spin so quickly. To practice the techniques of combat, the school uses wooden swords, bokken, so that a mistake does not cause injury or death. Their teaching is based on the weak points of Japanese armor, which for the sake of flexibility did not protect the blood vessels on the insides of the arms and legs. Their purpose is very different from the sword-based sport of kendo, where the strikes are aimed at the protected part of the body.
この振りかぶり方、まだ後ろ見ちゃった。この振りかぶり方は、これに触らないように、これやるとぶつかるから、ぶつからないように巻き打ちっていう上段ですね。そういうふうに、それで真っ向を切るようです。はい。面に来るやつを体をかわして首に入る。それを稽古ではこう受けますね。受けておいてパッ。人間の体は動脈全部この内側ね。